Hello. I just want to talk about this excellent Electoral Reform Act of 2017. It was written by Robert David Steele. His website is called phi-beta-iota.net, and he has a lot of information here. So maybe we could just go through a few of the points. The first one is universal registration. Now, I think that means, or at least if I was implementing it, the way I would do it is um, everyone's social security number is already in the system. When you're born, basically in America, your social security number is already there. So, back in the day, um, they used to have a draft. So when you're drafted, you're put into this select service system, and actually the social security system also. Both of them have all your information. So the idea that they don't already have our information is kind of ridiculous. So when we talk about universal registration, every American shouldn't have to do a damn thing. The day you turn 18 years old, and I don't even know why it's 18, it could be a different age, but we're not going to talk about that here. But it's 18. So you turn 18, boom, you're registered. Period. You get to vote. That's how it should be. I don't. Well, I mean, I do know why it isn't because they're trying to. They don't want you to vote. They don't want everybody voting. Obviously, the way the two-party system is designed, it's to make nobody vote. But I want to focus on solutions, so I won't. I try not to complain too much, but just once in a while, I want to give a reason. And according to Robert David Steele, here's some reasons. We have voter suppression, voter manipulation, and he says dead voters here. So I do think there is two ways that, or not just two ways, but I mean mostly the Democrats, or the big thing that the Republicans love to do, which is absolutely true, is you have a list of uh, mostly black voters, but a lot of other voters where they will exclude you from the list because they'll say you're a felon or other reasons. Um, but even what Robert Davis Steele says here, he says prisoner vote. So you can eliminate that whole thing about this felons can't vote. He's saying even if you're a prisoner, even if you're in jail, you should still be able to vote. You're still an American citizen. You know, it still matters who's the president. If you're in jail, especially since we have like a lot of people in jail for ridiculous drug laws that they never harmed anyone in their life, but they had a little bit of pot and now they're in jail. So until that system is solved, these people should have a say in things. So I agree with him. Prisoners should vote, but also ex-felons. If you've already done your time and you're out, you shouldn't be excluded from voting, and that's just ridiculous. So that's mainly Republicans are suppressing voters that way. Now, Democrats, what Democrats love to do is, I'm in California, and I don't know how widespread it is, but I know it is a function. I mean, it does happen. We have a law in California that if you're an undocumented immigrant, you can go ahead and get yourself a driver's license. And there's another law that they passed where if you get your driver's license, you automatically register to vote. Now, I love the second part because everybody that gets a driver's license obviously should be registered to vote. I mean, even if you don't do the universal part, I mean, that's the minimum every state should have is you got your driver's license or any ID card. At that point, you've given all your information. You should be a voter, period. You shouldn't have to also register. All right, so I'm going really long on this, but anyway, it's kind of important. So I do think that there's millions of people in California, especially we found out in the last election and the primary against Bernie Sanders. I think there may have been a lot of undocumented immigrants who did vote. Um, Now, I don't know. I don't want to go as far to say that well they're living here and they're permanent citizens now, so they should be able to vote. That's a question for another day. But um, possibly I do agree with that. But if the law says that if you're not a legal citizen, that you shouldn't vote, then really they shouldn't be voting. So anyway, that's a problem. So we can eliminate that problem also, or we should try to eliminate that. Also, the other thing that Democrats take advantage of is, well, they say they do this. I don't know. illegal aliens not only can vote, but apparently people can register as a person who's already dead, or they're deceased, but they're still in the voter rolls as a living person. And somebody can go and in places where this is why Republicans complain about voter ID and all this stuff all the time, because they're saying a lot of people who are maybe voting a second time as a person who's dead. So they get the information and they go revote. Now I don't know how mainstream that is. That's definitely a lot less than I think undocumented immigrants voting. I think that's a big one. The dead people voter. I don't know if that's as big, but it could be. Anyway, that's what he's talking about. So what's the second one? Or the second one is free and equal ballot access. Now this is obvious. See, right now, two-party tyranny is excluding 70% of the country from voting, which is just ridiculous because, well, more than 70%. No, no, no. I think this is true. If you if you only count the certain amount of people who voted Republican and Democrat, not all the third parties and other parties, and then the massive amount who don't vote at all, um, according to Robert Davis Steele, it is about 70%. So that's pretty bad. And Well, this is about ballot access though, instead of who's voting. So what he's talking about is that the Green Party or any party, any real party that is legitimate or whatever. I mean, it shouldn't be very hard to be legitimate. I actually think I go one step further. You know what I think? This is definitely true that this should be free and equal ballot access for parties. I go one step further. I think we should eliminate all parties. No, there should be no parties. It would be pretty cool if, well, first of all, with universal registration, I don't think you should have to register as a certain thing. And actually, this comes to the point of his number seven, open primaries. Um, Really, I think to solve number two and number seven, we should eliminate parties. There should be no parties. You should go if you're gonna run for elected office. You should just be yourself. There should be a system that allows you to have your money and free airtime and stuff like that, and then you should be able to run as yourself, not as some party. I think the parties have ruined everything. But anyway, if there are parties, even lower, lesser known parties should absolutely have free and equal ballot access, as he said. And then also the other thing related to parties. See, a lot of these things are related to parties. All this stuff. Um, well, two, three, four, and seven, I would say, is related to party stuff. So tightly drawn districts based on citizens, and so he's saying not counting the illegal aliens and foreigners. So that's true. I mean, I think if the law is that you're outside the country, I mean, hey, we can change the law at a later time. If you say, oh, well, let's let people into the country, and if they've been here 20 years and whatever, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to talk about path to citizenship and all that at this point. We can discuss that at a different time. But I guess if the law is that you're here illegally, undocumented, whatever, you shouldn't be voting. And you shouldn't be counted as a voter. So I think what he's getting at here is that there's probably, well, I'm from California, so I think probably California has tons of undocumented immigrants, and probably benefits in any statistics that relate to population. Although I would say, I think I've heard recently that California has the fifth largest economy in the world. If it was a country, it would be number five. So I'm kind of the opinion that I don't think California really gets a lot of benefits that other, I think California actually is getting ripped off by the rest of the country, to be honest with you. So that's a story from another time. So let's get back to this. Number three, tightly drawn districts and not counting illegals in Florida. So the tightly drawn district is that's absolute what needs to be done because if you gerrymandering is a huge problem. They have basically the two-party system is basically um, made the districts so ridiculous. I mean, if you've seen any of these districts, I mean, they wind and go all the way around. It basically tries to guarantee every Democrat and Republican that they'll get reelected. So it shouldn't be based on the way it is now, the way they've gerrymandered it. They do it every 10 years, apparently. I think in 2020 is going to be the next time. I don't think we can wait. I don't think we can wait till 2020. We should this Electoral Reform Act. I mean, Trump needs to really get smart and push this through because if he gets this through, that's gonna uh, also Bernie Sanders, and also Jill Stein. Anybody who really wants a chance to become elected, with different views than whatever. Anybody who's outside of the two party and the deep state really needs to put this thing forth because this is going to completely change the whole paradigm. In my other videos, I talked about different economic systems beyond politics, but I do think that possibly there is a path to the future that might require us to have some politicians that are good people um, involved. All right, this is. Um, I don't want to make my videos too long, so I'm gonna shut it down now and continue in another video. All right, thanks.